What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review that's been long overdue. It's one that just kind of slipped through the cracks. I didn't even know this album came out back whenever it came out in the late spring of this year, but it's one that did gain a lot of notoriety. A lot of people were talking about it. This is the debut album, American Teen, by the singer Khalid. Khalid is a very talented vocalist, and the first thing that really struck me about him and his presence in the world of pop is that he's unique. In a world where I feel like everybody just kind of treads water in rapping, and maybe something where they mix singing, talking, rapping, everything like that, Khalid proudly shows off his pipes. He sings, and he's very relatable at the same time. He's only 19 years old at the time of recording this video, and whenever he was working on this album, he was still in high school, which is crazy because now you actually see and you listen to this album, and you see that a lot of things on here, yes, are high school related, but at the same time, his commentary is a little bit more mature than I would have expected. Now, this album is 54 minutes long, 15 tracks. It's a little bit overly long. That's my main complaint here. 15 songs could have easily been trimmed to 11 or 12. And while there is some filler content, especially towards the end of this record, I like the majority of this album, and it's only grown on me with time. Since I knew that I didn't have to rush my review of this considering I'm already way late, I knew that I could sit with it, just listen to it occasionally, see how it plays in my mind, let it just kind of stew, let it boil, how am I going to take this in? And as I've listened more, there's a lot of songs that caught my interest a bit more as I listened further. Some of those songs include Winter, which is a great song going into the season that we're about to go into. It's one that definitely opens your eyes to a different side of him. A little bit slower, a little bit more brooding, and not that he doesn't have that vibe going on all the time. It's just that here, it definitely does feel atmospheric and very much of that season. I love the dominant synthesizers on Another Sad Love Song. One of my favorite songs here that definitely didn't catch my ear the first time I listened to the album, but now, like I said, standing out as a favorite. This track calls to mind some of Khalid's best qualities, and as a vocalist, I think he brings a lot out here, a lot of emotions, and while this album in general isn't bringing anything new to the light in terms of lyrical content, his take on it is refreshing, and to see him kind of coming at it with this wide-eyed innocence almost and a new approach to the world, seeing himself just coming out into this world as only 18 years old whenever he put out the album, it's kind of a cool perspective that we're able to achieve whenever we listen to an album like this. And a lot of it, it's simply fun. It's fun to listen to, it's chill, it's laid back, it could be played in a variety of different situations. For example, the singles Location and Young, Dumb, and Broke could be played at a party, while American Teen or Another Sad Love Song or even Coaster could be played on a long night drive, and it's something that would suit different situations. And even the singles like Young, Dumb, and Broke, I think that while they're catchy, a little bit annoying, especially on the chorus on that one because Young, Dumb, and Broke reminds me of Thunder by Imagine Dragons because of the Young, Dumb, and then Thunder. It's something where I know Khalid's came out first, but still, I can't help but hear it at this point, and I can't help but be annoyed. Main point is that Khalid is a very diverse artist, and I'm excited to see that he's having a rise and a success whenever it comes to music. Some of his singles have taken off. Young, Dumb, and Broke is a current single that's doing well, and Location, his debut single, which I definitely enjoy. Obviously, Send Me Your Location, trying to connect and meet up with this girl. It's an enjoyable tune. It has a great R&B pop atmosphere, and that's something that he does a great job capturing. Just a good snapshot of that on his debut album. Even though the ending of this album is definitely my least favorite because that's where it really starts to drag out for me, probably just because, like I said, 11 to 12 tracks could have easily cut it, so we get to moments like even the catchy Let's Go, I don't feel as moved by it, and Cold-Blooded, Hopeless, Therapy. Some of those tracks are just fine, but they're kind of starting to use ideas that have already been formulated and presented on this very album, so I've grown a bit tired of them at this point. The main things that make this album connect and work for me are 1, Khalid as a vocalist, and 2, the instrumentals here and the way that they kind of pack a punch, but at the same time they're very lighthearted. They're easy to take in. There's not a ton going on. There's a little bit of trap influence, some hi-hats rolling, some synthesizers, some acoustic guitars, which is always nice, some organic instrumentation. It's very much appreciated. And Khalid is a vocalist, like I mentioned. He absolutely kills it on some of these. I love the fact that he's not always straining so hard. It doesn't feel like he's really reaching these notes, like having to stretch his voice, but he's just natural and he feels very comfortable behind the microphone, and he's not always overselling it. Like the opening moment, the title track, American Teen. The chorus on that is infectious as hell with those chiming synthesizers, and then like the vocals and the backing vocals on one of my other favorites here, Saved. It's one where he's talking about saving a girl's number just in case, you know, she comes around, changes her mind. The piano ballad Angels is another example. It closes out the album and it's a nice change of pace. And then we have the infectiousness of something like 18, where he's talking about still living with his parents, how he feels like he's gonna get in trouble for smoking weed and other things, but it's not spoken in a language that so many teens talk in these days, where everything just feels so coarse, so rough, and everybody's trying to be edgy. This album feels a bit more effortless, and while I'm not in love with every single song on it, I think that it's a smooth ride, a great coaster, if you will, another good song on this album. I think it's definitely a worthwhile experience, especially if you're looking for something that's a little bit in the R&B and pop direction, and to see somebody blowing up that actually does have a lot of talent. You might have heard him on the Logic song, you might have heard him on the Marshmello track. I think he's been pretty much great on the majority of the things that he's done guest appearances for, and his debut album is definitely worth checking out as well. I'm excited to see what his future holds, and for me personally, for his debut album, American Teen, I'm gonna give this a strong 3.5 out of 5. But obviously you guys have had time to hear it at this point. I know I'm way behind. I'm sorry for that, but please leave your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. If you're able to, please support me on Patreon. It's the top link in the description down below, or else that annotation over in the corner of your screen. If you would like to see another recent pop review that I did right over here, or another recent video on the channel, you can tap right over here. All of my socials are in the description down below, most active on Twitter. Other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.